Alright, so today I'm going to show you how to do a conversion on one of these Stacyc bikes. It doesn't matter if it's the 12 or the 16, from the standard drum type brake to a hydraulic brake. I'll give links to all these parts I think I bought all of it on Amazon. Altogether it cost me about 50 bucks, and the stopping power is just phenomenal. It's a lot better, and you can adjust the throw so that, like, my son's 3, so he can't quite reach the handle on the stock brakes, and if he could, he can't pull it because it's too tight. So with these hydraulic brakes, you can adjust the handle to where it's almost right up next to the handlebars, and just a little bit of pressure, like with your pinky, you can stop the bike. So I feel pretty confident that he'll be able to stop it once we get it all put together, and I'll also put in a little shot of him riding it as well. All right, so to start with, take the battery out. We're going to take the back tire off so you can loosen these up. It's a 15mm wrench. You're gonna loosen up both sides. Once you get that loosened, you're gonna have to loosen this here. This is for the brake cable. Get that taken off there. And then also on the back side, there's a little nut you gotta hold. Get all that off. You can bring the bike forward. This off here all the way. And on the other side over here, let me spin this bike around and show you. There's a little adjuster here. We're gonna have to loosen that up. This adjuster slides out, and then the whole tire can slide forward, take the chain off, and then slide the whole tire off. So I'm gonna stop the video, grab a saw. It's a 5/16 to get this guy out of here. So you just loosen it up. Unfortunately, you gotta take it all the way off, just about, in order to get it to clear the paw. Little screw right here you take out so you can get this back piece off. There's a little paw, so it's captured on both sides. That's why you gotta unscrew it so far. Get that off. You can disconnect the chain. Kind of a pain with these covers they put on here. I get why they do it, but so it's the screw on this side that's holding it in. Gotta make sure you remove this screw all the way that's holding this drum brake in. And you won't need most of these parts that go with this drum brake after the conversion's done. So now we can slide the tire forward, take the chain off of the sprocket. We can get to it. Okay, so from right back here on the bottom side of the bike, you can peel it off the sprocket all the way around and then pull the tire out. So that's going to be the best way to get that off there. Now, whether or not we can get it off the bike is one thing, but you have to get off the front sprocket as well to be able to slide it off the bike. So we'll come back once we have it all poured. All right, so in order to get this chain off, you have to take off all the screws on this side here on the plastic. And those also, and then also on the bottom there are 2 4mm Allen heads. You're gonna take those out. This is kind of a pain to get off. You just gotta hit it with your palm and they'll slide up. And then you'll be able to peel back. I only took off about 4. I didn't take off the front 2 on the battery. I've taken this all apart. It's kind of a pain to get all the electronics back in there once you get it off. So if you don't have to take it off, then don't. If you just pull off those 4, you'll be able to reach your hands in there and peel the chain off of the sprocket. Putting it back together might be unpleasant, but we'll deal with that when the time comes. All right, so last thing we gotta do to get the tire off, there's a little clip here on the top. This is what we're gonna reuse to put the hydraulic line in. So you just peel those sides off on that. It pops right off there. It's a reusable clip. And then you gotta undo the bolt here on the rear hub, which is a 10mm, and that will allow us to pull the wire out from the original drive. We're just gonna undo it all the way, so we can pull it all the way through there. Okay, once that's done, I'm just gonna leave this together in case we ever need to go back to this in the future, but don't see that being an issue. All right, now we got the tire off, set the chain off to the side. So these hubs are based on a freewheel design. So what I did was I went on Amazon and bought this freewheel hub adapter. So I'll show you how to put that on there right now. Find my pliers. All right, so take this bolt off here. That'll allow you to pull off this whole outer drum assembly. And there's another inner nut you're going to need to take off. Actually, you're going to leave the inner nut. Cut that part out. So I'm going to use a strap wrench here. This is just threaded on to the wheel itself. So you're going to put a strap wrench on it. And now I have already bolted my rotor onto the hub adapter. So these screws on the ones I'm going to link are actually going to, or the rotor itself is actually going to contact the wheel. I just screw it in till it touches it, and then the act of braking is only going to keep this thing tighter. So I didn't worry about any Loctite or anything like that. So as you can see here, these pieces of the rotor are contacting the hub itself. It's fine. It's going to work just fine. Okay, you do have to take off the sides in order to get the cable out. So now I'm going to show you how to do that. We're going to loosen up the brake on the top here. Just slide it down out of the way. Once you get it loose enough. To get the handlebars or the grips off, they're not a standard motocross grip. I was going to just replace his with some cooler new ones, but they're different sizes. They're not like a standard set you would buy. So what I found to do is just use compressed air, and you can kind of blow through it and actually spin it off. It actually works really effectively. Without it, well, now it's not too hard, but. So now that we've got that off there, we'll be able to slide this brake off. So you're going to pull the brake line out of the handle brake. Probably could have loosened it up a little more. Now, what I chose to do is just cut this little piece of rubber here. I'm not going to worry about it. If you want to figure out something different, it's fine. So now we have to work this cable through the chassis. I'm going to flip it back over. There's a little grommet here you can pull out to allow a little more room. So I am not going to put the hydraulic line back through the chassis. I don't currently have the brake bleeding kit that you would need if you're going to disassemble the brake line. However, since you're ordering these parts right now, you could order the brake bleeding kit, and then you could just put the line right through the chassis. That way it's like a factory setup. So we don't need that anymore. All right, so you're going to want to buy a front brake kit. It's on Amazon. It's called the front brake kit. That's going to put the brakes in the correct position on the left-hand side there. So fits right here on the handlebars. And as you notice how close I have that adjusted, he can reach it very easily. So we'll just set that on there temporarily, put the grip back on with the cap. Okay, and then with that it's even closer, so it'll be a great upgrade for him. So now we're gonna flip this over and start our tension back at the back again. Yeah, putting this through the chassis would make this a lot better of an install, and we will do that eventually. So now we're gonna put the tire back on. We're gonna need to put the chain back on as well. So with that cover off, and I'm gonna leave the cover off so that I can oil the chain easier. I'm sure from the factory they do that just for liability purposes, but we're gonna leave the chain off, the chain cover off. You gotta just finagle this chain back on here. Front on after you put the back on. There's a tip. Okay, so with that, go ahead and forgot to mention, with removing the standard brake drum setup, you're gonna have to add, it's a bolt that you took off, you're just gonna add it. It was the one that was on the outside of the drum itself. You're gonna put that one all the way into the inside, and that's gonna take up the gap that you have on the inside now between the tire. There's gonna still be a little bit, but once you tighten the frame down, it's gonna pull that in, no problem. So put the chain on the back sprocket, grab it, go ahead and feed that into there, and then you can add it, put it on the front sprocket after that. So now I will tighten this left side down, and then we'll worry about the right side with the sprocket. Okay, so now brings us to the next point. This is a piece that comes with the kit that I'm gonna link to. It's gonna hold the parts of the caliper. Find that. So one part of this goes into the sprocket itself, and the other part is going to bolt to the caliper. Now that we have the tire in, we're going to go ahead and fit the caliper to the frame. This piece is one that I'll link to. You're going to need that. It's an adapter to update old style bikes to old style with like the V brakes to calipered bikes. And then this is also an adapter that I'll link to. You're also going to need about a 1/2 inch of washers. And that's just with this kit. I'm sure if you buy a different offset adapter, then you wouldn't need that. But with the parts I'm linking, you'll need about 4 washers is what I put in there. And those are about an 1/8 inch thick. So this piece goes under there, and it tightens in to the caliper right there. So I'm gonna go ahead and tighten this down, and then we'll come back. Okay, so on the 16-inch bike I tested this up on, it fit without having to modify any of the pieces. On this 12-inch bike though, I did have to cut off the back piece of the adapter clamp. I don't think it's gonna cause any issues, but I will report back in the comments with, over time, how it's handling. As long as it's stable once we get it in there, then I don't think there's gonna be any issues, so it's good. Yeah, it's gonna. All right, so when you put the wheel back on, you need to make sure you put the chain tensioner back in. So slide that in. That's gonna allow you just to set the chain right where you need that. So I'm gonna go ahead and get this chain tensioned to where it needs to be, and then we'll come back. All right, so another thing I forgot to mention, when I was fitting this up on the other bike, this piece, this little adapter bracket right here comes bent. I straightened it out with a sledgehammer. Once again, this is a custom fit. This isn't something that's made for a Stacyc. I know it's seems a little odd to have to make some of these parts work, but that's what we have right now until Stacyc releases a kit. So as of right now, I have everything bolted up. You want to make sure that the brake is tracking true. It might rub just a little bit, but a trick I find is once you get the tire mounted and get it straight and tightened in, clamp down the brake to where it centers itself on the pad, and then tighten everything up. And then when you release it, the pads are gonna retract, and the brake rotor will be in the center. So as of right now with this setup, we're only getting about maybe 60% of pad to rotor engagement. I'm gonna do some research, see if I can find a better combination of adapters to get a little bit deeper. But even with my weight, you know, and with the brakes adjusted to where there's not much throw on them at all. I have the adjustment screw, which is right here, backed all the way out, which brings the handlebar or the handle in. So even with that, when I pull the brakes in, I can't hardly roll it. So it's they're a lot better than factory for sure. So I'm gonna go ahead and get everything put back together in the reverse order that I showed taking it apart, and then I'll show a video of us trying it out.
Do you see this concrete?
Oh yeah. That's thanks to Weston. I know it. Whoa, dude. Easy on those brakes.